Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelim fights for UFC Fight Night 173, Brunson versus Shahbazyan. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card and the first fight that I'll be predicting. So in our first fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Gutierrez versus Durden. And this is a pretty straightforward prediction right here. I think Durden is a solid fighter. I think he got like a USA wrestling tattoo on his back, but I'm not finding any wrestling background from him, so that's kind of weird. Usually only people that were like All-Americans or something would get those tattoos on their back, and I'm not saying no All-American background from him. And I know he trains with Justin Gaethje, even though they're not in the same weight class and they probably don't train together, like directly with one another. But Justin Gaethje is an All-American NCAA wrestler, but Durden is not, unless I'm just missing it. But either way, looking at him, I don't see his wrestling looking all that phenomenal by MMA standards. All right, I don't think he's mixing in the best yet. Striking, I mean, overall, he's like a solid fighter, but it just looks like he's just jumping in too deep too soon right now. Looking at some of his performances, he has some clean technique in his wrestling and striking, but nothing that looks like that screams UFC caliber just yet. Like he seems like he can build on a lot of stuff and get better, but it's like he's kind of jumping into the deep end. Because Gutierrez is looking the best he's ever looked. And he's looking like he can be a threat to this whole division, or at least start to appear as a threat to this whole division, or especially the upper echelon of the division. Whereas Durden right now, like he's a fighter that really is not going to make too many people worried to fight him. He's a fighter, like I said, that's decent striking, decent wrestling, but it's not nothing standoutish about anything he presents just yet. No standout power, no standout speed, no standout technique. Just like he's like a decent fighter that just needs to build and keep working. Now he's going against Gutierrez. I think we'll just chew up his legs, chew up his body, just be faster, be sharper. Gutierrez is adding a lot more power into his striking. At first, he wasn't really known for being powerful. Now he's starting a lot more power in his kicks, and every single strike, you're starting to see his opponents react to his power. So he's definitely, and also you're seeing his physique there. He's getting more filled out. Probably got a new strength and conditioning, so technique's getting cleaner. He's getting sharper, getting faster. And really, I think Gutierrez can beat him everywhere. I think he out-grapple him. I think he out-strike him. That's really the cut and dry. He can beat him in every single area of this fight. He can out-muscle him and just out-strike him, out-power him, out-technique at him, out-fight IQ him, just be smarter and just be sharper out there and just, like I said, just dictate the pace of this fight from start to finish. And I think he actually just go out there and just chew apart Durden and then put him away in the second round. So in this fight, I got Gutierrez via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Emmers versus Vincent Cachero. So look at this fight right here. Vincent Cachero versus Emmers is an interesting fight. Like first he was supposed to fight Timur Valiev, but Valiev fell off the card for an unknown reason. So now Vincent Cachero is stepping in on short notice with not 2-3 days notice, probably really like 2 days notice. So he's stepping in very short notice. But look at the two. You didn't look at stats and physique and all the other stuff. You just looked at how they fight. Timur Valiev, I think, I'm not saying Timur Valiev, but Vincent Cachero, I think his striking a little bit more cleaner. Grappling definitely goes to Emmers. I mean, Cachero got some slick submissions, some slick grappling, but Emmers just has done it against much higher level competition and has done it much more consistently. And yes, Cachero is kind of slick on the ground, but Emmers is definitely, I would say, lean to him heavily as the better grappler between the two. But striking wise, I think Cachero is just much cleaner, much sharper with his striking. But all that being said, now to get to the point of what we're trying to beat around the bushes, that Cachero is 135 through and through. He probably could even be lower. He probably could even be 125. He's 5'6", not the biggest, not the most filled out fighter, and he's at 135, and he's 5'6", going against Emmers, who's 5'10", much more filled out. So you're coming up a weight class on short notice. You're giving up like 4 inches of height, so like 5'10" versus 5'6". Yes, your striking is cleaner and more technical, but it's not like it's that much cleaner, or you're just some phenomenal standout striker. His striking is cleaner for sure, but it's not that big of a difference as far as technique to be giving up that much height and that much experience. So it's like a 17-5 fighter versus like a fighter that's like 6-2 or 7-2. And also it doesn't help, like his striking looks clean and all. It doesn't help that he got knocked out by a grappler in one of these fights. And that grappler I'm talking about is Casey Kenny. Casey Kenny got some decent striking, but you're not supposed to be getting knocked out by Casey Kenny. So he got some good technique, but he got caught by a knee and clinch, and that happens in fights. But regardless, there's nothing to drop in there. Give him a lot of height and a lot of experience, and give him coming in with no camp really, just on short notice, versus a taller, natural 145er, and you're a 135er who could probably go down in weight. You're giving him height and reach and size, and you're going against a bigger, better grappler as well. So usually going up against grapplers doesn't pay well, because you're going to give up size, so they're going to allow them to be able to grapple you more. I think in the fight, I ain't gonna feed competitive, close, maybe even a slight edge to Cachero in strikes. But when Emmers starts mixing the grappling, I think that's when it starts to really get, that it's really just to run away with the fight. I think he mixes the grappling often in this fight. Big brother, the smaller fighter, takes him down, controls the Falaris, push on the fight, gets him ground and pound. It really just grinds out a smart decision over Cachero and Emmers gets his first win in the UFC. So in this fight, I got Jamal Emmers via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the middleweight division, Eric Spicely versus Marcus Perez. So in this fight right here, I'm just going to get into both of their weaknesses first, then I'm going to get into who I'm going to lean to and who I'm going to pick in the fight. So looking at Eric Spicely, his weakness is that he's kind of soft to the body, striking and heart sometimes become questionable, but strength, phenomenal grappling. If you're not a better grappler than him or you're not close to him in grappling, as far as grappling skills, he'll make you look very bad. He'll take you down and submit you in like a minute. He'll be like snake on blood or snake on a moose or something, or snake on a deer or something like that. He'll latch onto you and you can't get him off you. Like if the grappling gap is that big between you, he'll get you out of there pretty quickly. So that's when he's on point or when he sees the edge, he'll get you out of there. But when you can able to defend his takedown or he respects your grappling enough, you stand on his feet with him, you press him, he crumbles like almost every single time. Except against Darren Wynn, but Darren Wynn is like a 5'2" bloated lightweight really, or bloated 145 or so. I can see him not falling to him. But anytime he's fighting any decent middleweights, I'm not saying Darren Wynn is not decent, but he's definitely not the middleweight that most people are going to fall to just from his pressure or his power or striking. He's really just a wrestler that's still trying to learn to strike, but either way. But when he fights a decent fighter that's fully filled out in there, striking and able to defend his takedowns or at least gaining his respect, he crumbles like every single time they put the pressure and they put the power on him. Like they attack him to the body or attack him to the head. He falls right on the ground and just gets TKO'd. That's one issue with Eric Spicely. So definitely needs to work on striking, definitely needs to work on his toughness. And then Marcus Perez on the side, he's a solid fighter. He got pretty much every skill you would want. At least at that level or the UFC caliber level, he got every skill you would want. I'm not saying like the highest tier of UFC, he has all the skills, but maybe like mid to lower tier, he has like just about skills. Like he has solid like karate type striking, good wrestling, defense and offense. He has good submission skills. And like I said, he got all the skills, but sometimes he gets too chill out there. He lets people pressure him often. Like if anybody wants to pressure him, like that's pretty much the style to be. Like you can defend his takedown and pressure him. He kind of just allows you to load up and throw shots. You might not land on the shots, but eventually you could pressure you. The fight goes on, those opponents start to land on him, and then the fight gets away from him. Like they start to pressure him, they start to get takedowns. So he's too comfortable allowing his opponents to pressure him. That's the issue with Perez. But looking at this fight to get to the point of this one, I think Perez can definitely hold his own in the grappling. Spicely, I think Spicely is the better grappler, but Perez is no slouch in the grappling. I think he definitely holds his own with Spicely in the grappling. But I said Spicely is still the better grappler. On the feet, Marcus Perez is the clear better striker. Much more tougher, much more tools, much faster, much sharper, much more accurate. And like I said, just about every area on the feet, he's better. Packs more power, better at landing those clean kill shots where Spicely's not really good at that. So, really, I think this fight is like a full, well-rounded fight, but it more so comes down to the fact that Perez when you see like who has the bigger edge in one area, the Spicely has the edge in grappling, but it's not the biggest edge. But in striking, Perez has the clear advantage in the striking, and that's where I'm going to lean to. So he has the clear edge. Like I said, I think he can kind of neutralize the grappling of Spicely, then just pick him apart on the feet. But I think Spicely's going to try to be tough in this one because Perez is not the fighter that packs the most punch in his strike. He doesn't have the most power either, so it's not like he's going to be pressuring Spicely and just tagging him and just tearing him up. He's probably going to turn into a point fight, which is going to make it a closer fight than it should be. But like I said, he's the faster, sharper fighter, so he'll be landing more significant strikes, be able to neutralize the grappling. And this win is probably like more of a point fight type fight. Maybe with a little bit of flurries here and there, but more so a point fight type fight, just be based off their styles. And I think Marcus Perez lands the more significant strikes, the more total strikes and the more significant strikes. So in this fight, I got Marcus Perez via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the bantamweight division, Ray Borg versus Nathan Maness. So in this fight we got Borg versus Maness. So look at this fight right here. Maness is a pretty big bantamweight fighter. Like he's pretty long, pretty lanky, got some power in his hands. Not the slickest striking, but he can slip in some hooks in there. He can slip some little power in there. Like got some power, got some length, got some size in there. But what I'm saying is another fighter that's kind of being pushed a little bit too far up in the division. Like he's not getting jumped in and fighting a guy that just has no experience or just kind of like 500 in the UFC and hasn't even reached the upper echelons, or a little bit above 500 or a little bit below 500. He's fighting a guy that literally fought for UFC title, and it literally is a style that's just consistently a problem for entry-level fighters. So I really don't see Nathan Maness presenting too much issue for Ray Borg, and Ray Borg also has been improving his striking. So with the improvements of Ray Borg's striking and already the threat of his relentless grappling pace and his relentless grappling threat, I really don't see Maness presenting real threat to Borg in this one. Like coming in and taking this huge step up in competition, not really fighting anyone at all solid outside the UFC, and then coming in and fighting a former title challenger. And not that some guy that's like 30 plus years old or 35, 36, 37 and worn down, beat down. You're fighting like a guy that's like 26, 27, fought for title and still getting better. So it's like, I don't see no real path to Man's victory. He got a puncher chance, but that's about it. So I just really see Ray Borg just being Ray Borg out there, take him down and just putting that relentless grind on him and getting that submission in third round. So in this fight, I got Ray Borg via third round submission. Now to our co-prelim headliner, we have in the light heavyweight division, Ed Herman versus Gerard Meerschaert. So look at this fight right here. Ed Herman definitely like a fighter that's kind of a shell of himself. It's not like Ed Herman was ever the most phenomenal fighter ever, but it's definitely like he's slowing down. It's definitely like he just kind of those fighters that's up there in age, a veteran, and is getting by on the skills he learned along the way. That's what Ed Herman is looking like. Pace and cardio and all that stuff not looking the best, but he got a couple little tricks in there. He can sneak the knee up in there. He can kind of tough his way out, grit his way out, and use his experience to like take these younger or at least younger or less experienced fighters into the deep end and then either drown them or just outwork them. That's what he's been doing. It's not like he's been going out there just looking so phenomenal. He's been finding his little moments and finding little shots and sneaking a knee in there, getting some stoppers off the knee, or just really out grinding some of these fighters that like this entry level or just coming into UFC or just, like I said, less experienced them and just finding these ways to victory. But he hasn't been looking the sharpest. Gerard Meerschaert on the other side, he's not a fighter that's, like I said, you kind of see parallels between them. You know, it's not really parallels, but Gerard Meerschaert's another fighter that's talented and all, but he's a fighter that's, you know, you're not going to say, oh, this guy is so phenomenal. So far, he's just been a guy like that's a middle of the pack fighter. So it kind of parallels to Ed Herman in a way when he was coming up or when he was more so like younger. Ed Herman, their style is definitely on the same, but it's definitely a striker that was more so a grappler at first, then developed striking. And kind of same with Ed Herman. Like Ed Herman came in as a grappler, and he started develop striking. Meerschaert came in as a grappler, started developing striking. So there's some parallels, but definitely their styles of fighting are the same. So, but to kind of get where I'm going with this one is, I just see Ed Herman as a fighter that's like I said, just hanging on to what little he has left. And Gerard Meerschaert is a fresher, younger fighter. And I think he's coming up from the middleweight division. He'll be faster, be more sharper, be more technical. Ed Herman will present a little more power. But I think Meerschaert is going to be able to push the pace a little bit more. And he's not going to be one of these fighters that's like inexperienced. Meerschaert has experience. He's fought some good competition. He's done well against good competition. He even got wins over good competition. So I think really Meerschaert going to be faster, sharper, and he'll be able to push the pace, like push a higher pace and push it longer. And that Herman's not going to be able to keep up with that. And I think, like I said, I think Meerschaert just, like I said, outpaces him, outworks him. And I think he could beat him like in every area of his fight, especially with the pace. I think strength might be a little bit of issue early on. Was he grinds and pushes the fight further. I think he like I said, wears him down. And then they started gaining advantages in grappling. And it's not like he's gonna be out techniquing him, it's more so this what exhausting him and then find opportunities once Ed Herman's exhausted to gain opportunities, gain advantages in the grappling and the striking. And like I said, just outpace and outwork the older veteran fighter in Ed Herman. So in this fight, I got Gerard Meerschaert via decision. Now onto our prelim headliner, we have in the bantamweight division, Frankie Saenz versus Jonathan Martinez. So Frankie Saenz is coming out of, I don't know if this is his first fight coming back or like a second fight. By the way, Frankie Saenz is not the youngest fighter, not the springish chicken. And I think his style is every time, like every single year, his style gets a little bit more pushed back. Like he's not really evolving. He's older. He's not like no skills are being pushed back. And the average striking, like level of striking in this division and really in the UFC is getting better with each and every year. So looking at a couple years ago, Frank Saenz was able to get it by because he had a phenomenal, like especially against other wrestlers and grapplers, that especially one-dimensional wrestlers and grapplers. Frankie Saenz, even to this day, if he went against a one-dimensional wrestler, he would be a problem for him because Frankie Saenz, he kind of feels like, I mean, he just kind of had that wrestling coach vibe about him. Like you really just can't get nothing off on him on the wrestling side of things. Like he got the perfect answer to every single little wrestling thing you want to do to him, and he just gets back to his feet. So you take him down, he's already on the wizard, already popping back up to his feet. Like, you can't take him down, can't hold him down. Even like all these other fighters, like Divashili lost when we debuted, because Divashili, all he does is wrestle. And Frankie Saenz had like phenomenal wrestling defense and able to get back to his feet. And at that time, Divashili only had wrestling. So when you take him down, he just popped back up and was out striking him. But when you go against a guy that's, and also another thing about Frankie Saenz, like his phenomenal, his wrestling defense and countering ability is, or scramble ability is, he's only shot about 1 or 2 takedowns in his UFC career and had about like 10 fights. I think he might only score 1 or 2 takedowns. So he's not really known for taking people down. So as good as his wrestling is, or at least on the defensive side, he's not an offensive wrestler. And like I said, I was mentioning about striking getting better each and every year. His striking has definitely been what's plagued him in the UFC. Like when you go against strikers, they just basically tag his chin because he hangs his chin out there. He'll swing these wide hooks. He's a tough fighter, but if you land clean on anybody's butt, you're going to put him out. And it's not like he has a phenomenal chin either. So he's tough and all, but at least holding his striking. Like, he got heart, but he touch that chin, even not the perfect chin. Like, I mean, even not the perfect of shot, because it's not like I say his chin's not the best. It's not the worst, not the best, but it's not the best either. And also, even if it was the best, he kind of hangs it out there. So kind of get to the point with Jonathan Martinez versus Frankie Saenz. I don't think Frankie Saenz is really going to implement a wrestling offensive approach against Martinez. And I think at this point with his age, I don't think he's going to be able to keep it up anyway if that was his approach. Now they're going to defeat Jonathan Martinez, just the much faster, much sharper, much cleaner striker. And that just comes down to it. Like, Saenz is not going to implement the grappling as much as he needs to. And I don't think he can implement it as much as he needs to. So the fight going to play out as a striking match. And Jonathan Martinez is just a far better striker, far faster, far sharper, far cleaner. And he's going to find those openings in Saenz' game and just counter and crack him. And then push him back and then start unloading and put him out of there. And I think it happens in the first round. Well, now I'm going to say in the second round. So in the second round. So in this fight, I got Jonathan Martinez via second round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the prelims of UFC Fight Night 173, Brunson versus Shahbazyan. And as always, thanks for watching.